facilitator. Facilitator for today is Engineer Samuel Francis. So before I continue, your permission for this training section to be recorded. I hope we have your consent. So I will just say a little bit about Samuel. Will be the one to market himself because he can do it better than me. Okay, Samuel lives at Qatar, Doha. He read material and metallurgical engineering, mechanical engineering, first degree, then metallurgical and material engineering for his diploma. He has masters in business administration. He is involved in a whole lot of industrial work. He's an experienced lifting and rigging manager with over 15 years of experience in planning standard and complex lifting operations for greenfield and brownfield oil and gas EPC projects. He has been involved in operational plan shutdowns and maintenance. And I can go on and go on and on. I think when Samuel comes on, when I hand over to him, he will do justice to that. So with that, except if my PI wants to say something, we can start off. We'll hand over to Engineer Samuel to take over for today. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you very much. If you can hear me, please just indicate by responding back so that I want everybody to be involved while we go through this process together. So can everybody hear me clearly?
Yes, sir. Can you?
I hear you.
Thank you very much. My name is Mr. Samuel Francis, as our professor have actually indicated, and my background is mechanical engineering. I studied in Academy and Federal Polytechnic, Wana. I proceeded with my PhD in Enugu State University of Science and Technology. Today, we'll be talking about the importance of professional development, and I'll be sharing my screen with you, the slide we are going to use today. Basically, I may not be putting so much, I may not be putting so much concentration on the slide. I want it to be like interaction, and I'll be giving you examples with references. When I mean references, I'm trying to say people in the same field who have tried career development, the areas they have made mistake, and what was the problem, and how they were able to overcome the whole process. I hope you can see the screen now for the slide. Can everyone see the screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
now,
sir.
Okay. Now we're talking about career development. I believe. Okay, we are talking about career development, and everybody understand what it means by career development. It's actually a process whereby you need to improve whatever background you have to be able to meet up with the industrial standard. And if you understand how the industry works these days, it's all about standards, procedures, and continuous education. So if you have these three information in hand, then you will be able to fall in line with what is the requirement. And I understand most times that for us to be able to choose the career we want, sometimes it's quite difficult. I will use myself as example. When I finished mechanical engineering, I arrived Doha, Qatar. It was difficult for me to find my route because I now realize that mechanical is very vast. Under mechanical, you have over 50 and 100 disciplines under mechanical engineering. And during my studies in Nigeria, it's only production and automobile. That is what we are doing. So for me to discover my roots, it was actually very difficult for me to do so. And while Professor was reading my profile, I believe most of you don't understand what rigging and slinging actually means. I will just explain it a little bit so that you know my background. It's all about heavy equipment, heavy lifting operations, which involve utilizing heavy equipment like cranes, forklifts, barge, offshore and onshore operations. That is the discipline I decided to, concentrate with my mechanical background. So I'll start going with the slide. What we are going to learn this evening is all about understanding the concept of professional development, the benefit of continuous learning and skill improvement. And remember that continuous learning and skill improvement, it's a two different aspects as well. Exploring the different ways to pursue professional development. There are different ways you can pursue your professional development. It can be through certification. It can be through continuous education. Sometimes it can be through, site experience. The role of mentorship and networking in professional growth. Now, in this aspect, we are going to talk about how mentorship can assist you in growing your career. For example, if you have a superior under the same profession, how he will guide you so that you will not, make any mistake while choosing the right directions towards your career. And when we talk about networking again, we're actually talking about the social media platform which you can grow your career from. I use LinkedIn as one of my example. It's a very popular website. It's not like the Facebook and the Instagram where it's all about social networking, pictures and videos. The LinkedIn talks about professionalism. Everything you see in the LinkedIn is all about job. It's all about professional development. It's all about learning. The fifth one is overcoming challenges and obstacles in professional development. And the sixth one will be measuring the impact of professional development in career success. So I will go on the first slide, which is understanding the concept of professional development. Please, as we are discussing, if you have any question, you can actually ask me so that I'll be able to, we'll understand the whole thing. I just want it to be like a conversation, like an interaction between everyone in the house. So now let's talk about let's talk about the importance of professional development here. We'll talk about continuous learning and skill enhancement. So professional development involves continuous learning and skill enhancement to stay up to date in the dynamic work environment. In this aspect, what we are trying to talk about is that we talk about professional development. We are talking about certifications most times. For example, if you are working in the construction field, or if you are working in any discipline, you realize there are standards that guides these areas. For example, in the oil and gas, we have a standard that guide the oil and gas. In the automobile, we have a standard that guide the automobile. In the environmental, we have a standard that guide the environmental. Most of them are ISO standard. Most of them are API, American Petroleum Institute. Most of them are BSEN, it's called British Standard and European Standard. So for organizations to take you in, to believe that you are qualified, most times they are not looking at your academic qualifications. They are looking at, are you meeting up to the requirement? Because what this standard will explain to you is the procedure to get things done and to be safe as well. Because the priority they put in these procedures are safety procedures. For example, if you want to work in the oil and gas field, there are standards you need to come through. For example, if you are working in the pressure vessels, we have API 570. API 570 gives you all the information you need to know about pressure vessels. And for you to work as a pressure vessel supervisor or any discipline, you need to go for the training, write the exam, and pass the exam. That is only when you are being considered as competent. Now we are talking, there's a difference between academic qualification and a competent person. A competent person is somebody who has the skill, technical knowledge to be able to perform a particular function. That is why it's called competency. And that is why you see in jurisdictions in all fields, in the construction industry, organizations, they use the word competent person. And if you look the trend now in the recruitment industry, they use the word specialist. Specialist actually talks about how competent you are in that area that you're looking for, that professionalism. So if you don't have what it requires, like if you don't discover what it requires for you to be in that position, you might likely not be falling in line with the requirements. And that is why most times you see when we apply for jobs, it feels like we don't receive response, because what actually happened is that they look at the competency, not the qualification. Qualification, it's there, but again, they look at the certifications you have. Is it in line with what is required to be able to carry out that job? So this is where professional development involves continuous learning, skill enhancement, and stay up to date in the dynamic work environment. Now, when you stay up to date, it actually means that sometimes they revise standards. You see, the standard can be revised after 5 years, after 3 years, after 2 years. And that is why when you have a certification, the certification has duration. It can only expire, most of them 3 years, most of them 2 years. And expect after this expiration of this certification, you need to update yourself again. They need to check your competency. Do you still have the competency again? Because you can actually have a certification, but you're not working in that field. Maybe you're working in another jurisdiction. So if you now come back, you want to certify yourself again, or you want to go back to the same field again, you have to go through the same process to certify yourself again. Now, let's look at the career growth and advancement. It provides opportunity for career growth and advancement by acquiring new knowledge and expertise. So if you have the required information, the required certification, then you will now grow in your career, which actually means that you will now have the opportunity to, grow in the career and learn more when you are in the career field. Because based on my experience, it's not everything that is captured in the procedure or in the standard. Most of them are site issues that you will now be able to. If you go back to the procedure or the standard, you will not see them. But they are side situation that you just have to handle them at the moment. Now, it will not enhance your job satisfaction, because engaging in professional development activity leads to enhanced job satisfaction and motivation, because you now take responsibility of what you know. It's more or less like when you are, for example, you are asked to, I'll try to use example of something. You are asked to fix something in the engineering field. If you don't have the experience, you will not have the confidence to do the job. But if you have the experience and the procedure, you find confidence in what you are doing. It's just like when you are being employed in an organization and you don't have the confidence because you feel that you are not meeting the requirement. It's just like when you lie in your CV, or you put something that is not existing because you just want to get the job, and you get the employment because of the information you have in your CV. So when you are going into this job, you have this skeptical mind because you know the information you provided, you don't have them at hand. Thank God enough we have learning tools like the YouTube, Google, that most times you can just try to cover up, try to search those informations to get all the necessary things, online. So now, formal education, it's another thing again that helps you grow your career, okay? Because there are some positions in life, there is a position you get in life, then you require more academic to be able to get to that point. For example, if you want to become a manager, I think the new requirement in the standard now is that you must be having an MBA. Whether you have engineering background, whether you have a aerodynamic background, whether you have chemical engineering background, for you to manage an organization, you need to go through the MBA process. So the MBA process is going to furnish you on all the necessary requirement it takes to manage an organization, not just only in the revenue aspect generating. It actually tell you how to manage human beings, how to manage your work environment, how to communicate with your people, how to create an enabling work environment, because we believe that if your workers are happy, you have a good productivity. But if your workers are not happy, then your productivity will actually be low. So how do you achieve that is that there are some standards you need to get in life to attain that position. It requires additional information, it requires additional education. That is why previously organizations like Shell in Nigeria, they take their staffs for training. But I think these days such opportunity is no longer existing, because why? They realize that after training the staffs actually go and work for another company in the nearest future. So it's like a wasted resources, like investments they are not utilizing in the future. Okay, so continuous education is something you have to do in your career journey. It's something that you have to consistently find out what are the parts you need to do. And the only way you can find out this information is that you have to follow the trend that has to do with your own career. I will use, for example, I'm an electrical engineer, and I'm focusing on, let's say, automation. I don't know much about electrical. Now, how do I know up-to-date information about my field? There are places you can get that information. For me, what I use is LinkedIn. So what I do in LinkedIn is that I ensure that all my friends in LinkedIn, I have two friends. One of them is HR department or people who are in the same profession with me. Now, the reason is because if you are in the same profession with me, all the information you're posting in my timeline has to do with career aspects. It has to do with electrical information, the new trend in electrical information, this, that, and I follow companies that are into electrical, okay? And when I want to know what are the net trend in the career, I will try to look at most of the people who are in the same career with me. I'll open their profile, okay? I'll look at their qualifications. I'll look at their professional certifications. For example, I want to be a manager. So what are the things I need to be a manager? I will go to the LinkedIn. I will go to the same profession, like the same person in the same profession with me. I will check his profile. Somebody who is a manager, I want to know what are the qualifications that brought him to that position. So when I see all this information, I will now extract them, go and make my research on the YouTube or in the Google, try to find how I can get those certifications, because you will see that it's a requirement for you to get to that position. Sometimes you will see this from the job requirement. Like if you have HR posting, what do you call it, jobs, they'll say that your minimum requirement to be 15 years in the job experience, bachelor's degree in this, you must be professionally certified in this. So you should know that this is the requirement you need, and you need to now go back and try to find how you can get those certifications. So this is where you have continuous learning in certification and in educational aspect. Now, if we talk about the mentorship and coaching aspect, it's when you have interaction with somebody who is your superior, who has been in the field for a long time, who will give you the guideline on what to do so that you will learn, because they'll actually guide you based on the mistake made and the lesson learned. Based on these two information, they will guide you so that you don't make such mistake in your career journey. I will use, for example, what I have learned so far in my career journey is that I realized that at the age of between 55, 60 years, most organizations stop recruiting. No matter how experienced you are, they don't recruit you anymore as a permanent staff. Most companies can take you as a contract staff, but then what do you do at the age of 55, 60? Most times you realize that you only dwell on what you have actually invested when you are younger. But now I realize that what are the other things you need to do at your age of 55, 60 is to start establishing your own organization, which means when you pull out from an organization or when you're no longer valuable for organization due to your age, you can now manage your own organization. You can now start doing the same thing, offering services to people. With this, you will now be in the field and you still have something that generates revenue for you. So if somebody who is not in that field cannot advise you on this aspect, and if you don't look at the trend, you will not understand what is actually happening when you are in that particular career aspect. Because like I said, between age of 50, 60, you're no longer valued in an organization because they feel that you will no longer be productive. And what is the next step for you to do is either you start your own organization or you try to trade on something that you may not sustain yourself through it. Now, self-direct learning, it's when you try to diversify more into what you already know, okay? Self-direct learning empowers individuals to take control of their development through independent research and skill acquisition. It's more or less like you are into mechanical engineering and you need to know more. Okay, I'll use this example. Over here, we have what we call MEP, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. Now, we don't have mechanical, we don't have electrical. They put them as a one profession. So you see, they will say, we need MEP engineer, we need MEP mechanical engineer or MEP electrical engineer. What they're actually trying to say is that we are looking for a mechanical engineer that have the idea of mechanical, electrical, and plumbing as one. Why a company is doing this? Because they try to cut costs. They don't want to employ mechanical, employ electrical, and somebody that will do plumbing. It's going to cost them much. So they believe that this idea can be found in one person. So that is why I'm saying that as an engineer, if you now see that the industry requires somebody who has 3 experience in one, you try to develop yourself in other aspects so that you will not fall in line with the trend. Because if you don't do this, if you only have the idea of mechanical, you don't have idea of electrical, or you don't have idea of plumbing, you will still remain in that aspect. Even when the job opportunity come, you may not get the opportunity to work because the requirement is actually somebody who has experience in mechanical, electrical, and plumbing. Let's go to the next slide. The benefit of continuous learning and skill improvement. Like I said, it will now give you opportunity to grow in your career. It will give you the opportunity to attain a new height. It will now give you the opportunity to become relevant in the labor world. What I'm trying to say is that you will now have the opportunity to select jobs because companies need your skills. And again, one thing I want to share with you here is that to get these certifications, they are not quite easy. They are very expensive. And you should understand at this point that education is very expensive. But when you have these certifications, you get the opportunity because companies are looking for your skills. I'll give you, for example, I got a job from Nigeria to Doha, Qatar, not because of I have mechanical engineering profession or I have bachelor's in mechanical engineering. No, because there is a certification I enrolled in and I have this certification. That was what actually gave me the opportunity. And have seen stories like that because of this certification they have, they were able to get job to go and work in different countries. So what they are looking for is your educational background is going to give you the first step, but do you know how to do what they require based on doing the certification that guide you on that particular aspect of it? So acquiring new skill and knowledge, continuous learning enable professional to acquire new skills and knowledge, leading enhanced expertise and competency. Staying up to date with industry trade, regular skill improvements ensures professionals stay updated with latest industry trend and advancement, enhancing their relevancy. So standards are being updated always. And how do they update standard? They update standard based on information they receive. For example, if we're using the standards to work in this company and we're practicing the standard, everything we have performed, if there's any mistake and there's any correction, now they are going to extract this information to update the standard, to include it in the standard in subsections. So the standard is going to come up. Everything initially will remain there, but there's going to be some updates based on the new information that is not included in the standard. Most of you yesterday, when we had the AI information, it's still the same thing we are talking about, where you have to, ask the AI question based on what you want as an output. So the same thing is applicable to standards because these standards are being updated. Adapting to evolving job roles. Continuous learning allows individuals to adapt to evolving job roles, improving their ability to meet changing in demand. In the industry, there is always change in the demand. And this change in demand is always constant. I will give you, for example, being a mechanical engineer, I have never in my lifetime, think I will do anything that has to do with business administration. I have worked as a mechanical engineer. I have worked as a specialist. But when it gets to the point of becoming a manager, I have a restrictions. Why? They said you don't have MBA. Now, as a mechanical engineer, I have to go and register for MBA just to fall into the industrial standard. Without this MBA, the opportunities will come, but I may not have the opportunity to grab them. This is where it will now help you. So this is where the continuous education, because most of you will think that as an engineering, I don't think I have anything. I don't think I need business admin to join in my field. But you actually need it, because even when I enrolled in the business admin, I realized that, yes, I learned a lot from there because I know how to budget. I know how to manage people. I know how to, prepare business proposal. Even as an engineer, I couldn't do that. I can't even do that for. I know how to check if the project is profitable or not. I know how to see if I can get involved in the project. And the most of them all is that you have to generate revenue, because in an organization where you don't add value or generate revenue for them, at the end of the day, all the company needs to do is to drop you down and move ahead with other people. So in all your career aspects, continuous learning will actually add value to your organization, because what actually happens is that the company generates revenue because of your skill and your competency in your area of professionalism. Now, the company will benefit from that because you actually add value to them and they're making streamline of income that they will use as well in growing the organization. Now, let's go in improve career opportunity. What happened when you improve your career? Like I said, improving career is not just one certification, two certification, three certification, and you stop at that level. If I start counting the certifications I have as a mechanical engineer, it's actually quite a lot. Most of them, I'm no longer using them. More or less, like the more you go, the more you try to expand more so that you fall into the market requirements. So continuous learning enhances employability by demonstrating a proactive approach to skill development and adaptability to change. So when you are doing your continuous learning, it actually means that you are updating yourself. It's more or less like when you have an Android phone or or what do you call it, an Apple phone, that you need to update them so that they're able to work. The same thing applies to human being. You need to improve yourself using continuous education and certification. Access to higher position. Regular skill improvement open doors to higher position and career advancement opportunities, leading to professional growth. So when you improve yourself, when you have what it takes based on academic and professional certifications, then you have the opportunity to grow. I will give you an example. I will use references. Currently over here in Doha, Qatar, nobody will ask you to come for interview without showing your certification. First of all, they'll ask you, do you have the certification? If you say yes, then they will not proceed with the interview. They will not proceed with the interview without seeing the certification. That is how important it is, because like I said, certification will guide you on the information. You don't need to have experience to get any job. If you are trained in a particular profession, like you try to enroll on the certification and you are trained in that aspect, believe me or not, if you go and interview, you will actually pass the interview, because the question they will ask you will be based on the information you are extracting from that certification. I will tell you, for example, if you want to travel from Enugu to, let's say, traveling from Enugu to Port Harcourt is a certification, okay? It's a standard. Let's say it's a British standard. When you enroll for this training, they will tell you all the process and the steps you need to move from Enugu to Port Harcourt, the safety involved, the obstacles you have to get, what all the information will be explained during the training. Now, when you are interviewed, they will refer down to that standard. What is this? What is this? You'll be able to tell them, okay, this is this, this is this, this is this. Now they understand that you know the standard, at least, because again, if you're working in an organization, everything is based on standard and procedure. Now, there are two things I want you to understand. There's a difference between standard, there's a difference between procedure. A standard is what is being generated by countries on how to operate a particular, maybe machinery or operation. Then a procedure is something you extract from standard. For example, you want to build a car. There is a standard for building a car. You have read the standard. Now you have to select the areas that will favor you, that will give you more guideline to produce the car you want to produce. You will now use that to now prepare your own procedure. So when you go to an organization, there is a procedure. You don't just jump in and you start using, oh, I understand this based on, no, you really have to work in the procedure. If the procedure says, don't go to the right, follow the left. Even though there is a door to the right, you can't follow it. You have to follow the procedure. So when you have this continuous learning and certification improvement, you will now understand how it will now shape your understanding when you are going into the labor world, when you are going into in the industry where you are looking for a job. But again, understanding which aspect of career you need to follow is another important thing. Like I said, I have the same experience when I finished my higher education. Like I said, most of you are electrical engineers, most of you are mechanical engineers, most of you are civil engineers. And when you come into the labor world, you realize that there's a lot, even as a civil engineer. I realize that even in civil engineer, we have people that are specialized in bridge, people that are specialized in road, civil engineer that are specialized in offshore structure. This is part of civil engineer. In mechanical, I realize you have piping, you have rotating equipment, you have dynamics, you have EPC, you have greenfield and all these things are mechanical aspects. So for you to now understand which area that you will function well, it's another criteria as an individual. But one thing I will advise you if you want to select a career is that make sure you select a career that it is difficult for people to come in. It's very important. As a mechanical engineer, if you want to select a career, please ensure that the career you're selecting is quite very difficult for people to come into that career. I will give you an example of such career aspect. In Doha here, when I arrived 2013, we have a lot of Nigerians who are doing safety engineers. All of them are doing NEBOSH. Now, at some point, we have more of safety engineers and safety officers. What the reason is because, and at some point, the salaries of safety engineers or safety officers dropped. Why? Because we have a lot of people into the safety field. Okay. Why do we have a lot of people? Because the entrance to safety is very easy. Why? There is no requirement. For example, anybody can just come, register in the Bosch, write in the Bosch, you are a safety officer. And that's just it. But for example, if you want to become a piping engineer, you want to become a rotating equipment engineer, you want to become a lifting engineer like I do, first of all, they'll tell you the person must have a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering. That alone is a restriction first. Then before you start talking other certifications that will now align you more. So which means that if you don't have a mechanical engineering certificate, or a bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering, you cannot even function. You don't have the opportunity of working in that profession. So you now see that you have more opportunity to work in that profession. So which means if the requirement comes, it's quite very easy for you to have the opportunity. I will give you an example again is most of you who will be interested in becoming a lifting engineer, which is what I do, there's a lot of opportunity for lifting engineering because you know why? It's risk intensive and you have limited people who are into the same profession. I have had opportunities where you have to come to Nigeria, even in Dangote refinery, but I have to turn them down for some reasons. But what I'm trying to say is that I choose the career because I know there's not so much people into the career. And it's quite easy for me to now move from one career to another. And all the necessary requirements I need to do to give me the platform, I've actually done them. So when you are selecting career as a new graduate or as a graduate or somebody who have been in the industry, you select a career that the entrance will be very difficult for anybody who just wants to come in. With that, you have a lot of opportunity. I'll give you another career that is actually selling now in the industry now is structural engineering. And you know that to become a structural engineering is not easy. So most of them who are into offshore structural, believe me, they move from one job to another without having any break. It's quite easy for them. So this is what you look at when you want to select a career aspect. What is difficult for people to easily come in and you will explore in that aspect. Let's go to the next slide. Sorry, I'm taking so much time. I'm diverting out from the original discussion. Now, personal enrichment and fulfillment is that, okay, lifelong learning mindset. Continuous learning foster a lifelong learning mindset, leading to, personal enrichment and sense of fulfillment. Expanded intellectual horizon. Regular skill improvement, expand intellectual horizon. And if you look about the enhanced problem solving, continuous learning enhances problem solving ability, enabling individual to tackle challenges with what? Confidence and creativity. That is more or less like you have what it takes. And again, I would like you to always know that you have to be competent enough to carry out any operation. Competency is what organizations are looking. They're not looking about professional. They're not looking about your bachelor's degree or your engineering background. Yes, they will add up to everything you require. But again, our certificates, like our university certificate, is not giving us the full information what we are about to face. What we are about to face, you can only achieve them by enrolling in what we call professional certification. Now, exploring different ways to pursue your professional development. There are different ways you can explore that. E-learning platform offer a wide range. You can go that through e-learning. There are some free courses you can do online. If you check Coursera, I know about Coursera. If you check Harvard University, there are some free courses you can run in Harvard University when it comes to management courses that will give you the leadership skill. So all this information, you can find them online. If you want to make your own personal research, you can use the artificial intelligence, play around with it, play around with the Google, you get the information you require. So everything now we have, it's online. How to develop your, professional growth. You can go online. It's there in Google and even in the artificial intelligence. Self-paced learning. Individual can learn that at their own pace. So this is why you see most organizations now, they have what we call their studies can be achieved via online. You can actually do your studies by not being face to face in the class. Actually, all this information changed after the COVID. So, which means that you can now have your own time to study about what you need to know. If you are doing masters, most of the masters, you can do it online. You have time to do your own self studies. You can now, merge it with your work. So you don't need to overload yourself by being physical after work. You can actually use your convenience to learn, at your own convenience. Okay. Certificate program. Completion of certificate courses can lead to valuable credential and career advancement opportunity. We have talked about this because certification is one of the key aspects of professional development. Certification is actually one of the key professional way of going into the market to become relevant for organizations. You have to engage in certifications. It's very, very important. Please take this note. This have been my growth. This have been the path I have chosen, and I have grown successfully in that aspect. So network and events. Yes, network and events can actually enhance such thing because sometimes you have to go for networking. You have to go for what do you call it, like conferences where they talk about all this career growth. For example, if you're working in the maritime industries, you go to maritime industry, you see the latest developments, the trend. If you are working in the oil and gas sectors, they have conferences. These are organized all around the world. So even our Nigerian Association of Engineers, I believe they have conferences that talks about the engineering field and the new development. So professional meetup can be part of it as well, where you have professional people who meet up to discuss more about professionalism, more about how they are, achieving their success in the in the labor world. Such things you can find them in the LinkedIn page because I have some groups in the LinkedIn page I join. I have some organizations that present training in the LinkedIn page. They are free of charges and they actually add more. Actually, it will help you to network with people. It help you to meet people. This is where you now find your mentors. You see people who are far behind, who are far above you in the career, indirectly or directly. You'll be able to interact with them to gain more idea on things you need to know about your career. Alumni gathering is part of it as well. So mentorship program, can actually mentorship program can actually be a part that can contribute in achieving all these requirements. Now, let's talk about the role of mentorship and networking in professional growth. How important mentorship is. Let's look at it. Building valuable relationship, knowledge transfer and skill enhancement, which we have discussed. Navigating career challenges. There will be a lot of career challenges, and you really need to navigate through all this. I'll tell you, for example, the first time I got my job as a specialist, I was very scared because I've never had the opportunity to work as a specialist. Before I resumed my job, I had to go to LinkedIn. I have to find people who have been in that specialist position. So I wrote one of them. I said, can you guide me on how to, become a specialist and a successful specialist? Do you know what he said? He said, he called one standard for me. He said, go to the standard every month, just bring out one or two information, make it like a TBT, like a TBT talk. TBT means two boss talk. Discuss it with people. If you do this for the past 6 months, you become whatever you know you want to become for yourself. And believe me, I did exactly the same. So he has been there before. And when I asked him, he said, you just have to do this, do this, do this. And ever since then, I have been following him on LinkedIn. Do you know what I gain? I see some of the mistake he has, some of the mistake in his workplace, and sharing it on LinkedIn actually give me an idea. So when I come across such kind of operation, I know that, no, you have to do it this way. This is where mentorship actually works. Okay, so it helped me navigate through my career. Sometimes when we're having meeting with the HSC, when I present some solutions, they are surprised because why? I've actually understand the solution from the superior, from people who are above me. And Hello?
Okay, we can hear you now, but we lost you just a few seconds ago.
Okay. Okay. All right. So, like I was saying, can you see my screen?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. So, like I was saying, all those information was based on people who have been in the field before before I was there. So their guidance actually helped me in achieving so much. Now, leveraging the power of networking is expanding opportunities and exposure, knowledge sharing and collaboration, building a support system and enhancing visibility and credibility. So creating symbolic relationships, reciprocating learning and growth, fostering culture of mentorship, and what? Long-term professional support and amplifying career opportunity. Now, through networking as well, you can actually get new opportunities. Like I said, LinkedIn is one of the reference I have been using since we started. You can get jobs from people who you are following on LinkedIn. They can be people who are in different organizations, but when they post a job, because you are in the same platform with them, you have been having this conversation with them on the same platform, that you're able to see that job opportunity. And sometimes if you see on LinkedIn, when a HR posts a job, you'll see somebody will just come and say, I recommend this name. They'll just put the name there. So when you click that name, it will now direct you to the profile of the person who actually they are recommending that have the experience to do the job. So this is how networking will actually help you achieve your career growth as well. Now, we have different kinds of mentorship. We have virtual mentorship and connections, where you can meet face to face to discuss all about profession. Okay, we have global knowledge exchange, digital networking, where you can meet through the Zoom, through the Skype, all platforms that you can have meetings. You don't necessarily need to meet face to face. Adopting to remote collaboration in the digital era. Networking adapts to remote collaboration, fostering visual teamwork and partnership. Okay, enhancing professional visibility. So all these things you can achieve through mentorship. Navigating challenge and what? Maximizing opportunities. Overcoming network barriers. So with mentorship, you overcome what we call networking barriers, because most times information is power. You might be looking for something you don't know, somebody who is close to you have that opportunity. But when you start networking, you realize that those information will now make visible, and you now explore those informations. Strategic relationship building. You build a relationship that anytime you need guidance, they'll be available to give you that information. So strategic networking involves intentional relationship building, leveraging connection and what? Professional advancement, adapting to evolving landscape, and seizing emerging prospects. So networking has a lot to do if you want to now grow in your career aspect, because you cannot do without networking. And that is why we have so many associations. You have Association of Mechanical Engineers, we have association of this, association of that, because we can achieve a lot through that networking process. That overcoming challenging obstacle in professional development. So how do you overcome challenge and obstacle in professional development? How do that? Developing a growth mindset. Now, I will talk about this mindset, and I'll give you reference. I will use myself as reference. When some time ago, 2015, when I finished my project with my previous organization, so a lot of people, my group mates, my networking people here in the same profession, all of them were migrating to different parts of the world they were living. Most of them are going to Canada, most of them are going to the UK. I'm not trying to be rude in this aspect, but I decided to stay back here in Doha. Because why? I now realize that most of them had the opportunity to work as a manager, but now being in the UK, they don't have the same opportunity. Rather, they are changing their career. I'm sorry to say this, most of them are in Uber. Most of them are actually doing something that is more lesser than the opportunity they have here. So you have to grow your mindset and believe in what you can do. There is opportunity everywhere, but what kind of opportunity is available is one thing you need to understand. So if you Embracing changes and being open to new ideas is crucial for professional development. It involves developing a growth mindset and activity, seeking opportunity for learning and what improvement. I'll give you one example why I decided to do my master's in the UK with Manchester University, because on the other hand, if I have the opportunity to relocate somewhere else, I believe that UK is one of the growing markets in the world now. They're one of the growing economy in the world now. I need something that can fit me into their system. So this is the mindset I have before deciding to use a school from the UK for my master's program. So your mindset will shape the area you are going most times. You have to be positive and seek more understanding before you now decide on which direction you are going. Flexibility and resilience, it's another thing again. So in this aspect, you remaining flexible and resilient in the face of challenges is essential. It requires the ability to adapt to changing circumstances and bounce back to this thing. Now, I will give you example for this resilience is that at some point in my career, I was just stable. I wasn't moving. I was just, for example, I was mechanical technician. I finished as a mechanical technician. I got a job as a mechanical technician. I finished again. I got another job as a mechanical technician. But for me now to grow, I had to involve in certification, like I keep telling you. I enrolled in this certification. I failed twice, but consistency, when I got it, there was a remarkable growth immediately. So you have to make up your mind that you just need to be here. And believe me, it will not be that easy the way you think it is. No, but you just have to walk through that. I'll give you one of the challenges I have again, 2020, when I came to Nigeria. I registered for a certification. I was in Nigeria for something, and my exam was due. For me to write that exam, it has to be an online exam. I was going from one hotel to another, and they are saying, no, I'm a Yahoo boy, I cannot write the exam. That was the challenge I faced. But at the end of the day, I sat down in the church, I wrote that exam. What am I trying to say? In as much as there was obstacle, finding a place to write my exam, I still, insist that I need to write it because I know how important it is to me. So it's very important for you to be, consistent. Don't fall apart. Don't give up because you feel you have failed. No, you are going on the right direction. It's a positive risk you are taking because what you are doing is actually going to add value to your career in future. Seeking mentorship and guidance. Seeking mentorship and guidance from experienced professional can provide valuable insight and support in navigating obstacle and challenge. This is very, very important. Very, very important because you don't just jump into certifications because you feel they are going to, pull you through. You really need to seek somebody who is above you, like a guardian, a mentorship. Say, okay, I want to go into this career. For example, I cannot advise anybody right now to say you are going into HSC in Doha, Qatar. Like I said, it's been flooded. Rather, I will advise you to go into something that is more higher. I will say, okay, go for process safety or go for environmental. Why? Because I have seen the career aspect of HSC, how it has been in Doha, the requirements, the pay status, and the growth aspect. And you will not be in a profession whereby you don't get what you require. Like the pay you are receiving is always stable. You need to be somewhere that if you look around you, only few people that can do it. Believe me, there are people who are actually making it so much in their career because they choose a career that it's very difficult for people to come in. So that is where mentorship is good. You really need to find somebody who is superior, who can guide you on how to go into a career or how to select a career. Or if you decide to now look for a career that will take you out of Nigeria, for example, you need somebody who can guide you. Okay, what kind of certification programs do I have to do? What kind of profession do I have to take that can give me the opportunity to leave this soil to be able to work professionally in another country? Then somebody who is above you as a mentorship will tell you, okay, I think what you need to do is that since you have your first degree in this aspect, why don't you go and do this? When you finish doing this, you have to do this, you have to do this. I will use, for example, I have a friend who just left back to Nigeria now. He's into the same profession with me, but he had the opportunity to come from Nigeria and work because why? Like I said, in our career, it's difficult for people to come into the career because of the certification and the requirement. But since he has it, he was pulled all the way from Nigeria to come and work, and he goes back. That is the advantage of choosing a career that is actually very difficult for people to come in and establish. Because when you have a lot of people in the same career with you, then it's difficult for you to be paid more in that career aspect. So that's where, if you seek mentorship and guidance from people who are above you, you have the right, step to grow your career as well. Continuous skill development is something we have discussed. You need to continuously develop yourself. Look at what is in trend. Look at what you need to do. Sometimes you need to go one step further before the time comes. I will give you, for example, I realized at some point that marine transportation right now is one of the trending things in the world. Most organizations moving their goods and services through the marine. And I'm beginning to make research. This is personal information I'm sharing. I'm beginning to make research. What are the things that are required to become a marine transportation engineer? Because I know it might be difficult for people to get their career in that aspect. And it's a trending thing in the world, because most of the services organizations are using, both in the oil and gas, the railway system, the construction system, everything goes through the sea. I'll use a reference now. One of the examples is Dangote Refinery. Has one of the biggest pressure vessels in in fact, in the world. This material is being transported through the sea. And you can imagine what it is for you to be part of the people that will make this work. For Dangote to finalize that operation and the installation of that facility, he has to involve a foreign expert. And you know how much this foreign expert is going to charge. Believe me or not, they don't. If that job should be done, nothing less than $500,000 should be done for that kind of operation. This is what we are talking about. Taking the advantage of those informations. Because why? The career aspect is quite difficult for people to go in. Because of the technicality, because of the requirements by certification, because of, how long it will take you to get to some point. So this is what you need to look at when you are, developing yourself academically and professional certifications. Taking ownership of career development. Taking proactive ownership of one career development involves setting clear goals, seeking opportunity for growth, and taking initiative in pursuing professional advancement, which we have talked about. Building a strong professional network, which is we have discussed. Adapting to industrial change, embracing continuous learning. Now, maintaining work-life balance is another important thing in your career. Setting boundaries and priorities is very important. Maintaining work-life balance requires setting clear boundaries and priorities to ensure that personal well-being and professional responsibility are both given due attention. That's what we call fatigue management in a work environment. So you cannot overwork yourself. You have to set a boundary and priority to your work. I will give you, for example, over here, the way we work is everybody has their starting point and their ending point. One person don't have to do a whole lot of job. One person will not be accountant, at the same time be HR, at the same time he will now become the receptionist. No. Accountant is a department on its own. Receptionist is a department on its own. Maybe they are under reporting to accounting department. Then maybe HR is a department on its own. So in this aspect, there are boundaries to organizational procedures. When you get to your own boundary, you just have to stop. Time management is very, very important in any organization, because every organization wants to be productive with their time. If you're in a managerial position, you will now understand what it means by time management, because every time that passes by, you have to give account of it, because your responsibility as a manager is to generate revenue for the organization. And each time that passes by, you know how much revenue you have lost. Utilizing support systems. And for you to be productive, there must be a support system for you to be productive. So leveraging support systems such as family, friend, and colleague can provide a necessary assistance and encourage to navigate challenges while maintaining work balance. Unplugging and recharging. Taking regular break and disconnecting from work to recharge importance for avoiding burnout and preventing overall well-being. In where I work, once it's 12 o'clock, for example, the lunch time is 12 to 1. Once it's 12 o'clock, the light is off. When the light is off, it's time for everybody to rest. They believe if you have 30 minutes sleep, 1 hour sleep, or 40 minutes sleep, when you resume back on duty, you will be more energetic to finish up the remaining part of the day. In some Western world, they have such procedures that during lunchtime, they make provisions where the staffs will go and have some rest for 1 hour before they will resume work. So you need to take time off from work, because when you're taking time off from work, that's where you now manage your fatigue level. Because if you don't manage your fatigue, it might actually affect your productivity at work. So developing effective communication, it's a very important thing. Communication can be a barrier to organization. For example, if you're in the Arab world where you are communicating with people who can't speak English, you're communicating with Nepali, Indians, you really need to know how to, channel your aspect of communication, because it can actually be a barrier. Most times, if they are going to employ you as a site engineer and they see that you have the skill, but the communication aspect might be a barrier because you don't know how to communicate with the people on site, it might become a barrier for them not to move further with you. So, but I believe that gap analysis can be covered if you are in an environment which the communication is the same. Like if you're in the Arab world where I work for like 2 or 3 months, you understand how they communicate, either by verbally or by hand signal. So with that basic communication, you'll be able to explore. In Nigeria, it's easy for us because, I will give you an example. I have a project I took only Nigerians to go and do. It's an offshore job. We were able to do that job. The job was scheduled to be for 6 days. We were able to do it for 4 days. At some point, they were asking me, why are your people not angry? Why are they always happy? Because we are all Nigerians. Do you know why we are not angry? Because we speak broken. We have one community. We have one language. If we are quarreling with broken. If we settle with broken. So they don't understand our language, so they don't know how we communicate. This is example I'm trying to share. So if you're in an environment where you adapt to the communication aspect, you begin to learn how to share your communication. So if you're in Nigeria, it's quite very easy for you to communicate. But if you're in an organization where you have different nationalities, communication may actually be a kind of difficult. But that is not a major barrier, because with time, you'll be able to cope with the communication aspects, the communication style. Nurturing the mindset of continuous improvement, embracing feedback and reflection, setting ambitious yet achievable goal, learning from setback and failure. This is a very important aspect. Mistake learn. When you make a mistake, what did you learn from the mistake? If you are involved in the next project, you will not allow such mistake to repeat itself again. This is what makes you a winner. Because if you don't make mistakes, you don't learn. But don't use this as an advantage that you want to make mistake because you want to learn, because some mistakes can cost you a lot. It can, if you're working in the oil and gas platform, little mistake can actually cost a lot. So such is not allowed. That is why I said, if you're working in the oil and gas environment, you work based on the procedure, not based on what you understand. There's a written procedure you have to follow to achieve whatever tasks they are giving to you. Staying curious and open-minded, and what? Measuring the impact of professional development on career success. So evaluating skill acquisition and application, analyzing career advancement and progression, measuring impact on job satisfaction and engagement. This is very important. If you are not enjoying whatever you are doing as a profession, you will not give your best in that aspect. Make sure you enjoy whatever profession you are doing. It's very, very important, because that is the only way you can explore more in that career aspect. Okay? Exploring effect of salary and compensation. Yeah, this is actually where the whole, is very interesting, because everything we are doing in the work space is to get salary, to get paid. Okay? And the only way you can get good pay, I will share this secret with you, is by developing yourself. I will tell you examples. You can get a job that entails the company taking care of your children up till 18 years. I have seen that happen. The only thing that can lead you to that kind of career breakthrough is what we call professional certifications. There's a certification you will have that companies see. They cannot, once they grab you, it's difficult for them to leave you because they know it's difficult for them to get such qualification outside. Just the certification alone, I'm not talking about the experience, I'm talking about for you to hold the certification alone can open a lot of doors, both in the oil and gas sector, international and local. Believe me, it's a very vital aspect to grow. And once you have the professional certification, it opens door for salary and compensations. Because the only way the human resources can keep you happy in your job, because they don't want to lose you, is for them to pay you good salary and for them to give you all the benefits that will make you remain in that organization as long as you are giving them exactly what they needed to generate revenue. Because whatever services you are giving to any organization brings in revenue for them. Now, evaluating the effectiveness of different professional development methods, assessing the impact of formal training program, exploring the benefit of membership, mentorship and coaching. We've discussed all these aspects. Examining the value of online e-learning. Yes, we've discussed about e-learning is very important. Measuring the impact of conference and workshop, which we have discussed as well. So, challenging an opportunity in implementing professional development initiatives are identifying barriers to effective professional development. There are barriers that can be there when you want to develop yourself. It can be financial barrier. It can be unavailability of whatever certification would take in the location where you want to do it. So, exploring the challenges and obstacles that hinder the successful implementation of your professional development program. So there are a lot of barriers that can, prevent you from achieving your professional certification. But I think one of the major ones actually is financial barriers, because these professional certifications, they are not actually cheap. Education is very expensive. That's what I want you to understand. So you really have to pay a lot for you to be able to get the same value back again. Leveraging technology for accessible professional growth, exploring the opportunity presented by technology. Now, technology is the aspect. We talked about AI yesterday, how you can, include your career growth by adapting the latest technology in your workplace. Now what we are looking at right now, the world is trying to go green. If you hear all companies are talking about green now, everybody wants to go green, environmental this. That is adapting to new technology, falling in line with the AI system, because if you don't fall in line with the technology as an organization, then you'll be fall out of the competition. Like yesterday, we are doing the AI training. You heard what happened to Nokia, they fall out of line. Okay, what happens to what do you call it? Hotel businesses, when Airbnb came to take over the hotel businesses and is no longer in their reach. So if you don't fall in line with the technology, if you don't fall in line with the technology, then it will actually affect your growth as a professional personnel. Okay, addressing the importance of continuous learning culture, maximizing the potential of cross-functional training. Okay, so evaluating the ROI of professional development investment. So ROI actually means return on investment. Can you hear me? Can anybody hear me? I'm hearing noise in the background. Okay. All right. So now we are talking about the return on investment, ROI, evaluating the ROI of professional development investment. What we are trying to say here is that there is no professional certification that will be a waste. There will always be a return on investment if you do the right certification, follow the right path, then you actually get the right job and you actually make whatever you have invested in that professional certification. That is what we are trying to say here. So it actually means that there is no investment in a professional certificate that is a waste. Definitely, there will be an opportunity that will now occur to make whatever you have invested. I will give you an example now. I want to use a real life scenario. Let's use this example. You are praying for God to give you a job as a mechanical engineer. rotating equipment, and you've prayed, okay, yeah, definitely God is going to answer your prayer. But the question is that when your prayer is answered, are you ready? If a company contacts you and say, oh, we saw your profile as a mechanical engineer, we want to proceed with you. Do you have this certificate? If you say, no, I don't have this certificate, they will proceed to somebody else who is ready. Now, remember that God has answered your prayer by bringing the job to your table. Now, the question is that, are you ready when the job came to your table? So there's always I'm a living testimony. I can give you that example that there is no professional certification that is a waste. There's always a return on whatever you have invested in certifying yourself internationally. So future trend and advancement in professional development. So adapting to evolving landscape of remote work, utilizing data-driven insight for personal development, embracing the role of AI and automation learning. We've talked about this and how artificial intelligence can be of importance, fostering culture of lifelong learning and adaptability. So I believe professional development is all about personal decisions and how ready you are to take up the task. It involves a lot of time. You really need to go down and study a lot. You really need to write the exam and you really need to come out with flying colors. Most of your friends who are in the professional field, most of them who are doctors, who are relocating to the US and UK, they will tell you how they have, invested their time and energy to get the certificate that is required for them to function in that area they are going. So for you to be able to grow in your profession or in your career, two things you have to put in place. Your academic is one, your first step, then professional certification is an very big added advantage that is going to take you to that destination you want to go. So I believe at this point, I know there will be questions that will come from everyone in the house. So let's discuss about the question. Thank you very much.
Wow, awesome. Thank you so much, Engineer Samuel. Thank you for doing a beautiful job. Thank you. That is, my ear was glued to, but I didn't want to move at all on the chat box, or you raise your hand so we can be a little bit oddly. Thank you. We need questions. Somebody said thank you. So I was not the only one that enjoyed it, this training. But we need questions so we can learn more. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay.
I have a question.
Go ahead, please.
Just go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much for the lecture, sir. I'm in mechatronics engineering, so I was wondering, aside the B engine certificate I'll get, which other professional certificates do you suggest I should go for?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. That's exactly what I was expecting you to ask me. Now, if you want to know more what you need to have to explore, there's something I will advise you to do. Okay?
Okay.
Open a LinkedIn account. I don't know if you are aware, if you know much about LinkedIn, correct? Mrs. Ndena, I hope you're online. You can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you. I do.
Okay.
I do.
Okay. Open a LinkedIn account, okay? Set up your profile, all right? Try to search on LinkedIn page people who are in the same profession with you, mechatronics engineering, okay? Add them up as friends.
Okay.
Look up their profile. Check where they are working, what positions they have held in their past years, okay? Go down to their certificates. Look at what certifications they have attended. Don't do it with 1, 2, 3. Try as many as most of them, okay? This will now give you guideline what you need to do or what certification you need to do. Any certificate you see, extract the information, go to Google, ask Google question, how can you get this certification? What is the procedure? Google will guide you. So it will now guide you on what are the necessary certifications you need to do. Now, let me tell you something. You don't need to achieve all of them at the same time. You need to start from one point to another. Okay. Now, secondly, again, what I want you to do is that, believe me, people are getting jobs these days through LinkedIn. No HR will come and tell you, oh, send us your CV or make a post online. No, the technology is advancing to LinkedIn. So what happened actually in LinkedIn is that a recruiter will just come to your profile. Once they view your profile, they will just drop a message for you. Oh, I read about your profile. We'll see that your experience match our requirement. Please, can you send us your CV? They will drop their email address. That is how the conversation will start. Then you will now drop your CV to them. Based on your CV you drop to them, then you start communicating with them. You get my point? Secondly, again,
Yes.
follow as many human resources as possible. Don't make your LinkedIn page like a Facebook page whereby because of Amaka is your friend, you add Amaka as friend. No, delete all of them. The only people that matters in your LinkedIn page are people in the same profession with you and the human resources. Now, the reason why I'm saying that is that if you add somebody who is not in the same field with you, let's say, for example, you add the mechanical engineer in your LinkedIn page while you're a mechatronics engineer, if he posts anything, it will be about mechanical. You get my point now. So he'll be putting your line on busy. All the posts you'll be seeing is mechanical engineer posts. If he posts a job, but eventually it will be a job that is related to mechanical. It's not related to you. But if you have people who are in the same field with you, if they post any information, it has to be about mechatronics. If they share any idea, it has to be something that is related to the same profession that you are. Okay? If they post any job, it will be the same job that will match your requirement. Okay? Now, the reason why I say you should add human resources is that human resources, they actually post jobs every day, both the ones that are related to you and the ones that are not related to you. So it doesn't matter. So you just see the jobs coming in every day. You get my point? And the ones that are related to you apply. The ones that are not related to you, you just allow it. If you feel it's necessary for you to share it with your friends, you just screenshot it, send it to your friend and say, I saw this job, your friend can apply. So if you follow this path, you'll be able to see how you grow your profession slowly. I hope this answered you.
Thank you so much. Yes, sir.
You're welcome.
Awesome. More questions?
I have a question, please. Good evening.
Go ahead,
Please go
Musa.
ahead.
Okay. My name is Musa Idris. I'm an electrical engineer, and I'm currently working with a company as an electrical project engineer. The guidance I need is actually I applied for masters in AI. Because I have this special interest in artificial intelligence, but also there are some certification, or let me say some certification program I am interested in, and that will develop my competence in my field. So I've been having this conflicted thought on which is better for me to go for now. Do I go for this masters, even though it is not, I don't really need it now, or do I go for this certification program that will develop my competence now? Thank you.
Okay, Musa, that's a very good question. I will advise you on one thing. Masters
Yes,
is
sir.
something that will drive you for a long time. Okay, you need something to sustain yourself to achieve that master's program. You get my point?
Okay.
So certification is what you need to go, because with certification you can work. You get a job, you are working. All right. Then because I will tell you, I'm in my final semester in my master's program. Believe me, I sustained my master's program because I already have professional certification that I am working with, that gave me the opportunity to work, and I am being paid well, that I can now fund my master's program. But if I'm doing the master's program, I don't have the professional certificate that can fetch me a good job. I'll just be, struggling with the master's program. You get my point? Now, when you finish the master's, you are out. Believe me or not, it might still require you to still go back and get the professional certification to enroll yourself in that aspect. I don't know if you get my point. Because like I said, certification is like a guidance on the area you want to go. I'll give you, for example, you say you're a project engineer in electrical, correct?
Yes.
Have you heard about PMP, Project Management Professional?
I think I'm just hearing about it for the first time. Okay, project
Okay,
management. No, yeah, I've heard about it. Project management.
Yeah, you heard about now. PMP now will give you a guide. Is a professional certification that will give you a guideline to become a project engineer. You get my point now. So now,
Yes.
when you now have the PMP certificate, organizations will want to pull you in because they believe you have what it takes to manage a project. Now, when you are not working as a project engineer, you can now generate funds to now pursue your I'm not saying master is very important, but you need to be in the field to be able to generate funds to now pay for this. You know? So what masters actually make you see, there's opportunity for masters. It will come, okay? But masters will not give you the site experience you need or the work experience you need. The masters will now, the experience you get from the masters now, you will now use it now to manage the site experience you have achieved so far through the certifications and professional certificate you have. I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. Because, for example, I'm doing masters in business admin. My profession is, what do you call it? Engineering. But do you know what I have learned so far in MBA? How to manage company. If you want me to open a company with you now, okay, I will tell you a lot of things we need to do so that we don't make a mistake while we are opening a company. I don't know if you get my point. I will use, for example, use Nigeria as a reference example. You see the highway, Calabar Highway they want to build, that they said they have some problem because of there was a cable in the Red Sea. If you engage somebody who has a master's program or who is advanced, before they will embark on such project, there are what we call analysis they are going to do to be able to find out there is no obstacle and if the project wants it. And again, based on your master's program, if you are embarking on any project, then you will not be making a lot of mistakes. So the mistake I made 2016, I can't do them anymore because the masters have now furnished me with a lot of ideas. So if in my own aspect, I would say do a professional certification that align with your current job. Then when you start working, you can now enroll in your master. Now remember that your master's program can be something some masters now you can do it at your leisure time. You don't need to be in class always. While you are working, you are doing your masters. You go for classes. Sometimes you can go for workshop. The same way. So schools now are trying to establish that kind of master's program that don't require somebody to be present and always in school. They are trying to make it more flexible. And all these things started after the COVID period. So in my own case, I will advise you based on what I have done in my career. Get the certification, start working, and you now enroll in the masters.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. I'm grateful.
You're welcome.
Okay, do we have more questions? Jude, you can go on. Your hand is up. Jude, please go ahead.
Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening, Mr. Jude. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. My name is Jude. I'm in the field, and have experience. So you talked about following like mentors on LinkedIn, checking their certifications that they've had. But you know how it is for some people. We need to be specific, very specific, and go to the certifications that most readily can give us the returns we need to improve ourselves both financially and professionally. So we can't just go and check the multiple listings, and at the end of the day we can't decide the one to go for. So can we bank on the experience we have in this arrangement to help us with like a listing for the different professions, for the best certification courses that we can go for, to help us, gain the gain well-paid, well-paid field jobs that can, help us to generate more to get those other certifications and grow more.
Okay, thank you very much,
Okay,
Jude.
that is one, and also secondly, in terms of having mentorship, I think in the country we don't have enough internship programs. Also, with this program, like the organizers, can they help? Even if at least for the participant of this program to help get internship, because internship really helps to learn a lot and gain lots of experience. But the level of internship in this country is very low, very, very low, and it doesn't really help the engineers coming up in the country. That is another question I want to put up. Thank you very much, sir.
All right, thank you very much, Jude. Let me start with the first question. When you talk about discovering the career, I use myself as example. Like I said, when I first graduated as a mechanical engineer, I was very happy. Oh, mechanical engineer is one of the best things. When I arrived to Hakata here, I was lost because I realized that mechanical engineer is very vast. So much. In fact, I even realized that even as a mechanical engineer, there are things about electrical you can actually go in. Now, to discover what I actually need to do was a very big problem for me. Okay, because my first mentor I have when I was working asked me to go and do one program called Welding Inspector, C-Suite Welding Inspector, a very good one. I did it, I failed twice. Why? Because it requires site knowledge. You get my point? It requires site knowledge. So I decided to leave that to try another career path because I wasn't discovering myself. Now again, let me give you my experience. Your academic qualification can be a restrictions to you as well, and I'll give you based on my experience. I have HND, higher diploma. So when I came here, they said they don't accept diploma. I can work as an engineer, but when I want to grow my career, I registered for what we call firefighting specialists, people that design building firefighting and the rest of the destiny. When I had that certification, we are only 14 of us in the whole country. Now, for me to work with that, they say I cannot work because I have HND. Meanwhile, people coming from India and Philippines, when they do 4 years of HND, they give them what we call BTech, not higher diploma. So that now entails me coming back to ESU to register my postgraduate diploma just to upgrade my certificates to BSc. This is one of the restrictions I'm trying to tell you now. So for you to find your route, most times, it's actually very difficult as electrical engineering. But again, you really need to look at the trend in the industry. And if you're looking at the trend in the industry, let me now put this for everyone in this group. Look at the trend based on operational, not based on construction. I'll give you my reason. Look at the trend of career based on operational, not based on project. Because why? Project has duration. Project can finish after 3-4 years. But for operation, it's a continuous operation. Example of one of them is that, like we have Dangote Refinery is going to start operational. What are those career in electrical that you need to do to ensure that the plant runs? That Dangote needs to keep his plant running. So if you now have this question in mind, it will now guide you on which career path you need to now select. Now, this is not only limited to Dangote. This is actually will expose you outside the country. Like plants or refineries are all over the world. So when you have this, you will now understand how important it is for you now to select your career. But again, if you don't put it at that aspect, you choose your career based on projects, okay? Then when the project is over, doesn't mean that is the end of your career, which means you really have to sit down and find another project for you to now continue your job again. So it will now actually be you moving from project to project, okay? But if you work on based on operational, okay, then it actually means that you generate your income and your career on operational aspect. But sometimes project pays more than operational, okay? Because project has end time, but operational doesn't have. It's a continuous something. It can be there for 20 years, it can be there for 25 years. Refineries work as long as they are generating, a lot of them, cement factories and the rest of them. And again, most of the critical aspects are those ones who go to the offshore. So selecting your career as an electrical engineer is something that is actually a very big problem when it comes to a new graduate. But the little I have used to scale through was I wanted to become a better person that earns more salary. So how do I discover myself? By searching people's profile on LinkedIn. Oh, I want to become a mechanical specialist. I'll go to the LinkedIn, open this guy. What certification did he do? I'll check out the certification. Can I take this career permanently and use them? You might make mistake in your career path, but that does not mean that that is the end, because I have worked as a mechanical engineer. I have worked as a senior mechanical engineer, but now I am specializing in rigging equipment and lifting equipment. Okay, this is where I find it very, very interesting, and I'm following it. So it took me time to discover that. So discovering your career as a graduate is actually a very difficult task. But once you discover it, get the right certifications to do it, then you will be on the right track. Like I said, you get the certification based on operational facilities, not based on projects. Because why? If you have a certification as an operation, you can work in projects. But if you have a certification in project, you may not work in operation. Because remember, operation is all about risk intensity. The risk is very high, but project is all about construction. So again, I will still refer you back to look at people you feel you want them to be your mentor in the industry, where they are going. Then you now look at how you get to that point. All right. I'll give you, for example, I'm not trying to, I'll give you my example. I've been looking into, for over 1 month now, I've been looking into naval architecture, master's in naval architecture engineering. Okay. It's difficult for me to see a part-time naval architecture engineering, because they need to be face-to-face. You have to be there for the classes because it's very vast. Why am I looking for naval architecture? Because my job involves structure and equipment. Now, if I do naval architecture, it covers marine engineering, marine transportation, blah, 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 blah. You get my point now. So that's why I'm looking for that naval architecture. So I know how important it's going to be in the future. So if you want to select that career aspect, you look for something that, that will add value to you, is difficult to get, and is operational based. Now, let's now talk about the internship. Like you said, I realize that internship in Nigeria, I might be wrong, but you can correct me, it's no longer the way it used to be initially, where companies will come, select some individuals, train them. But I think what they realize now is that after training these individuals or taking them in as internship, at the end of the day, they actually go to work for another organization. All right. And why you see they don't have foreign internship, like companies coming from outside countries to come and take, Nigerians for internship, is because they are putting their citizens first. You get my point now. So in that internship aspect, it's something that is most likely not achievable in the growing career aspect of the world now. But again, if you start networking, finding organization, checking through the YouTube, Google. In fact, let me even share this. YouTube has a lot of information. If you are looking for any program, you can find the lectures in the YouTube. Even without doing the certification, they will give you the breakdown in YouTube. You can see a YouTube video, like 1 hour, that can give you the information. You digest it first before you start the professional certification. So achieving the internships to grow your career in Nigeria, I don't think it's something that is visible based on the current state of the country right now. But for you now to be able to gain access to foreign organizations inviting you to come and work as an expatriate, you actually need to do what is required from their certification. I don't know in electrical engineers what you can do that can give you that, that opportunity. But if it is coming from mechanical, I can actually advise on 1 or 2 things that can give you that opportunity. I hope this summaries explain the question you are asking. Mr. Jude, are you okay with the response?
Okay, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, I am. Thanks so much, sir. Thanks so much, sir.
You're welcome.
There's enough clarity from it, sir. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Oh, thanks.
Do we have any questions from the audience?
Any other question? So we can call it a day. Are we good to go? No more questions?
Okay, before we round it up, Professor, let me just share small information I think that will help most of them who are looking for career experts to go. There is this profession called inspection engineers. Okay, they are looking for inspection engineers. I have seen 2 or 3 organizations. They ask me if I have anybody from Nigeria they want to bring in as an inspection engineer. Inspection engineer actually means that people who have inspection experience. And what certificate you need to get this inspection engineer is called LEA, LEEA, Lifting Equipment Engineers Association. It has certification up to 8. We have LEA Foundation, LEA General, LEA for lifting equipment for machines, and lifting equipment for offshore equipment. Now, this is actually very good aspect for anybody who is into mechanical field. Okay, it's not an easy profession. It's actually very difficult to get it down. But if you do achieve this professional certification under LEA, if you need more guidance, Professor will share my contacts, then I can guide you on that. Then, if you achieve this, and subsequently, if you apply, by the special grace of God, you will be able to get something. Even not outside Nigeria, I think a lot of them in Nigeria, they are still working and they're still having jobs to do in Nigeria. So that aspect is another professional area that is actually very difficult to achieve. But once achieved, it will actually guide. Secondly, again, most of you who have mechanical background, at least if you go more into structural, offshore structural, professional certification in offshore structural is another guidance again, because they need them. They have a lot of projects going on in the Middle East between Dubai, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia, and all these requirements are required for their projects to, to go on. So if you have what it takes for you to develop yourself as a offshore structural engineer, equipment inspection engineer, then you have the opportunity to secure job within and outside of Nigerian space. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Engineer Francis Samuel. Thank you for doing a good job, very good job to this topic. We appreciate you greatly. I think someone has asked for your LinkedIn page link so they can follow you up on LinkedIn. If you wouldn't mind to do that. Then for those of us that for the recording, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, guys. For the LinkedIn page, I told you initially the reason why I wouldn't want to share my LinkedIn page is that I don't want to have a feed that comes from people who are not in the same profession with me.
With you, okay.
Yes, because if you are in the same profession with me, then if I make any post or if you're on my LinkedIn page, all you'll be seeing in my LinkedIn page is what is related to my job. But if you feel you are okay with that, definitely I will share my LinkedIn, my name. You can search for me on LinkedIn. There is no problem about that.
Thank you. Okay, I don't think we have any more questions. Thank you so much. Julian, we missed you yesterday. That's Julian Ejim. Good to have you here today. We appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for participating. Please make sure you fill the attendance form. You will get the recording and register on the Engineering Express website. You will get all the recordings starting from the day one. We'll still have 1 or 2 or more training. You will also get the notification for it. We'll send you that. So with this, I think we'll come to the end of today's training. My PI is still here. I don't know, PI, if you want to say a few words, at least to thank Samuel for doing a good job.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm so happy to participate in today's training. One of the reasons why I was unable to ask our very wonderful resource person any question, as I have customarily done during the process of all our training, is because he had already addressed all the possible questions that I would have asked. He had explained both the processes that we will be able to use for our continuous professional training. He has identified all the challenges. He mentioned them. He had also given us real life experiences on what to do and what not to do, places where we can find opportunities, and a lot of other dimensions. There is one area that he mentioned which I would like to draw our attention to, and that is marine economy, marine transportation, and blue economy. And I would like to use this opportunity to tell all of us that that sector is going to be a very big sector. The current administration of President Tinubu and the led federal government is taking marine and blue economy very, very, very seriously. So when he mentioned it, that it is an area globally that is drawing our attention, and he has also started acquiring some skills in those areas. I was excited that he mentioned it. So for some of us who have the opportunity to acquire 1 or 2 certificates in those areas, especially if you intend to operate in Nigeria, that is an area that is going to have huge opportunity by the grace of God. And also, internship, as we know it, the continuous professional development, is a very vast area. Our resource person took time to take on it one after the other, different dimension, different approach, and he carefully addressed all the concerns of this course. And we are grateful to God and very much grateful to him for what he has done. For some of us that made mention about training and about internship, yes, there are 3 key areas that Engineering Express is focusing on. One of them is that we're looking into the quality of education, engineering educations that are available in Nigeria, and we are seeing what we can do working with stakeholders, APWEN, COREN, and every other stakeholder, NSC especially, and then to see what we can do. And where we have to lobby, we have been saying it from day one, we will lobby. And all these organizations, stakeholders are very much interested. Everybody is interested to see what we can do to address the issues with our engineering education, where there is gap with what is available in the industry or what the industry requirements are. The second area that we are focusing is on industry engagement. We're trying to make sure that we bring industries in. Like this issue of internship, we understand it. And in fact, it's a challenge that we're having. Engineer Minat and myself and Prof have been having engagement and trying to see effort that we can see to make displacements, but we are having so many challenges. But we can be sure that there are things that will be addressed as soon as we can. And because there is need for industry to be involved in whatever we're doing, and also get the opportunities to solve that internship problem. Our resource person also touched about it and said that yes, he knows that it's not as it used to be. And we believe that we can get it there, because without industry involvement, in fact, continuous professional development, I noticed from what you will observe now, because what we are also doing here is continuous professional development, because all of us are graduates already, and we are learning. Myself, every one of us is learning. So we bring people from the industry who are experts or who are very much experienced in some of these areas, and we have them to talk to every one of us, and we learn from amongst ourselves, and that is also part of continuous professional development. So we are going to find a way to promote and encourage the companies, no matter how few they are in Nigeria, to see what we can do to solve the problem of internship as we have identified. And then so many other things that our resource person mentioned, which are very, very impactful, and explains to us what we can do to jumpstart our careers, and to have them become successful or go in the light that in fact, he made mention about a key area again that we are looking at, which has to do with internship and industry engagement as well, which is mentorship. Because at the end of the day, a student needs a mentor. The mentor is not just a teacher, is not only an academic teacher. An academic teacher only gives you the theoretical knowledge. A mentor is the one that shows you the rope. He's also part of the teaching community. So where that has not been achieved in any area, you may have to find yourself a mentor. As he said, he even gave the ways that we can find mentors, even through LinkedIn, through engaging in conferences, through a lot of things, and participating in programs like this, because many of us are already requesting to follow him, which is a great thing. So these are all involved in what Engineering Express is looking at. And by the grace of God, we will be working with people like Mr. Samuel, all the way to be bringing this capacity building knowledge consistently. We are also looking at some other people that we will bring, and that can help us, talk to us, educate us, and enlighten us in some areas, both environmental and sustainability awareness, and all the rest of other things that we have. And when we also have other professionals, and in fact, there are a lot of people that we are still talking to, and once any of them create opportunities, we will invite us. So part of the thing is all about networking, is all about attending workshops or trainings like this. It's all about following people that you think that are role models on their LinkedIn, and as well as when the opportunity presents itself, adopting some of them as your mentor to help you. So our resource person touched all these things comprehensively. So we thank God for him. We are grateful for him. And on behalf of our wonderful sponsors, the people who make this training possible, the Lloyd's Register Foundation, and the Royal Academy of Engineering and Onya Construction, and all our collaborating organizations, COREN, Nigeria, APWEN, Nigerian Society of Engineers, University of Nigeria, and SOCA, and all the people that are supporting us in different ways, both MAN and NUC and Uru Tech Hub, and everybody. We want to thank him. And also, we beg him that anytime we call upon him, he should always please endeavor to come and share his wealth of knowledge. Because one thing I love about him is his vastness, his passion for skill development, his interest in developing practical skills that are specific to the areas that he is practicing in, and he has that eye to identify. He has that professional foresight to see the industry trend and be much prepared ahead of it. And we will want him to be coming once in a while and be talking to our professionals, because we are all already professionals, and be guiding us to be seeing the future the way he sees them. So I thank him so much. May God bless him. May God continue to enlarge him in his area of professional needs and career. And I also want to thank our wonderful Engineering Express team that are on ground, both our secretary, both our director, our secretary engineer Madreme, our director of training. I saw her, our director of training, engineer Minat, our co-PI, our mother in the house, everyone that is here. Engineer Professor Ayadike, I want to thank everybody. We are all working very hard to ensure that we continue to provide these needed services to our youth in order for them to close the gap and place a ladder where we know we all struggled. You can see how Mr. Samuel was talking about his own struggle. So these are things we came together and said, no, we need to close this gap and ensure that the people coming behind us do not suffer, do not perish in lack of knowledge, do not have their years of jump-starting their career very in a much difficult way or through much struggle, because information is power. So we thank every one of them for their wonderful contributions. And we say, may God bless us and bless all our endeavor. I thank you so much, our wonderful resource person. Thank you, and God bless you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. So with that, we have come to the end of today's training. We look forward to another section. You will get the notification. Thank you again, our facilitator, for a job well done. I'm so proud of you. Thank you, sir. So bye, everyone. Make sure you fill the attendance form if you have not done that, and go and register on the Engineering Express website. There is still